And boom, we are live. Welcome, folks, to the American Movie Podcast. If you've never been here before, welcome aboard. I go through movies, news, documentaries, Netflix series, and today I'm finishing up with episode 6 of Kingdom. If you haven't seen Kingdom, check it out. Start from the beginning, though. This is episode 6, so there's a lot of spoilers ahead. If you want to start your own podcast, make sure you get down in the description. Got 2 free guides and a free video for you to start your own podcast. It's everything you'll need to know to get it off the ground and get started. So I wish I started earlier than when I started. So just start if you're on the edge or thinking about it. So just go. So Kingdom episode 6. This is the best series. This is my favorite zombie series by far because of it's dense and it's condensed and it's two seasons, and the action and the period piece and shot for shot, it is just, the production value is incredible. So episode 6, the queen has eluded that she's going to use the plague, and so she just scorch earths the kingdom. She's like, hey, if you're going to take if you're going to take the kingdom and you're not going to accept my heir, all right, nobody gets it. So she just lays a waste to her province and the people inside of it. And there's mayhem that occurs. So first the crown prince tries to reason. She's like, nope, not happening. And so he's like, all right, we have to fight. We have to protect the kingdom because they get let out of the dungeon, basically. And the physician warns everybody, and they're like, all right, here we go. We gotta get ready. And so just like episode 1 of season 2, it's nonstop action, basically. And the very end, the set piece on how they tied it up and how they, spoiler alert, fight the undead is incredible. So water is the main driver of getting rid of the worm vector that's on the plant. And the prince realizes the garden, but everything is frozen over because it's so cold. That's how the plague is actually able to wreak havoc during the day now. So he has the great idea of breaking the ice, but first getting them there. So they shoot whatever the awning or the main piece inside of the garden that's in the middle of the lake on fire to attract the undead or the zombies or the plague. And so they're sitting there waiting, and then they just start sprinting at him, and you see the chaos and then the madness that they have. And it was so well shot because they shoot past you. So the zoom in first, you're like, the undead comes towards you, and then they zoom in and the undead's running past you. So it's such a cool shot. And then the prince is unable to open up the ice. So it's like the queen shows up, and it's extraordinary. So the queen basically gets eaten, and the physician happens to know that the plague does not like fire. They have to keep their vector, keep their host basically alive. So they withdraw from fire, water, and they need to eat. So she uses fire. She has like a torch, and she's inside the queen's chamber, and she's warding off the undead, and she hears the baby actually survived the ravaging of the queen. And it's like, okay, so she saves the baby. Whole host of problems ahead. And so she saves the baby, she's fighting the undead, and then she throws on a fire blanket, basically, runs out of there, dives in, hides. But this brings up a lot of problems for this season 3, because now the queen's heir and anybody that thinks that this is the rightful heir and shows loyalty or loyalists are going to make sure that baby is actually heir to the throne. So it's going to cause a huge problem. But the prince understands that this baby is actually Mu Yong's son. So he can't kill this baby in order to retain the rightful ownership of his throne. So this is going to be the dynamic that I see happen in season 3, where the crown prince has to first protect. You can't kill a baby. It's not the baby's fault. It was manipulated and used as a power dynamic between the queen, and the loyalists of Cho are going to defend him. So that is what I see bringing up to the forefront while the zombies are still happening, because I don't think the plague is fully removed. I just think it was retained for a little while, or has been held back, because I still think it's going to wreak havoc on ahead. So the prince has his hands full. I love this. I love this entire series, man. It is so good. And there's just so many big twists and turns and reveals and set pieces and shot for shot. It's just well thought out. Like if you were to take one snapshot of every shot that was in season 2 at least, and you placed it alongside, it would look like it was a graphic novel, like a comic book or a graphic. It was just so good, dude. It was so good. So let me know what you think is going to happen in season 3. Let me know what you thought of the ending of season 2 with Kingdom. I loved it. I'm a huge fan. Love zombies. And I've been blown away. It was awesome. So until next time, don't forget to subscribe. A lot of good stuff to come. You to start your own podcast. Make sure you get down in the description. Got 2 free guides and a free video for you to start your own podcast. I wish I started earlier. I started early, but I wish I started even earlier. So this will jumpstart and get you ahead of the learning curve, that all the gear and steps and stuff like that. So if that sounds enticing, check that out. So thank you so much, Matthew Benjamin with the American Movie Podcast. Bye.